Welcome to Fieldtester, this month from Orston Shooting Ground, and we've got something for everyone. We kick off with steel versus barrels, a Fieldtester community challenge. How many steel shells will it take to damage the barrels of a brand new shotgun? Plus, there's pellet versus putty.
We've just cheese wired through.
Long-range Leica optics, sub £1,000 night vision, and too much length? Gunsmith Matt Simpson fires a warning shot. It's all on Fieldtester. Last time on Fieldtester, we showed you just how far the cartridge manufacturers had come, developing shells with reduced plastics and in some cases swapping lead for steel. One of the issues raised in the film was the effect steel has on the barrels of our shotguns. Does the more abrasive steel wear them out, reduce performance, increase costs? No one seems to know, apart from the viewers in Denmark and the US, who made their opinions very clear. So we've decided to do our own research and have created the first Fieldtester community shooting experiment: steel versus barrels. To do it, we needed a ground. Thank you Orston in Nottinghamshire. We needed a gun. Thank you Raytrade for the Yildiz SPZME Steel Sporter Black Edition, costing around £850. We needed clays. Thank you CCI for their new eco targets. We needed thousands of shells. Thank you Eley. And lastly, we needed shooters. Not so thank you Boris. Obviously, timing-wise, this is really rubbish, isn't it? So we're closing tomorrow. You're closing tomorrow.
We're closing the ground tomorrow, unfortunately. Yep. But hopefully we'll be getting a few in today, and with the view that when we get released and we open the ground back up again, we'll be getting plenty of shooters through.
How long do you reckon it'll take us to do this?
Do you know what? It could be anything from a couple of days to a couple of weeks. The lads here are pretty keen. Give them anything that's slightly different, and we'll soon get the shooters through. We've got 10,000 cartridges, 10,000 clay steel cartridges from Eley. We're going to be putting them through the new Yildiz SPZME. It's an attainable gun that's steel-proof to half choke, and we're going to get it inspected throughout to see if there's any damage, which we're not expecting any, and to see how it performs.
So when lockdown is lifted, we want shooters to head to Orston to help us with our experiment, and at significant milestones, we'll have the gun independently assessed.
Okay, so we've got Roland Watson gunsmiths over at Beaver Castle at the engine shed. Very, very well known gunsmith just down the road. So he's going to be checking the gun to make sure that there's no issues with it. Then we'll check it after 500, 1,000, 5,000 and 10,000 cartridges. Nobody likes change, but change is coming. Yeah, let's see how this gun performs and how the steel shot performs, and hopefully dispel some of these myths.
If I had £1 for every time I was asked a question about steel cartridges, well, I'd have, I'm not sure I'd retire, but I'd be a lot richer than I am now, yeah. It's a test that's been talked about and has probably been needed for some time really. So we launched the Pro Eco steel shells last year, so they've been on the market a year. We've had some great feedback in terms of their performance and usage. This year we've extended the range on the back of that. But I think this is a test that's actually long overdue really. There's a lot of misinformation and maybe misunderstanding around steel and how it performs, so I think this is a really valuable exercise just to debunk some of those misconceptions perhaps in terms of what steel can and can't do. This isn't about lead versus steel at all, it's more about helping people's wider understanding, hence the reason we're keen to get involved.
Oh. To christen the event, we decided to get the first 150 Eley shells down the barrels. Here's resident coach, Andrew, smoking them. Game shot Tracy, smoking them. Novice shot Fran, smoking them. 3 times British Grand Prix Fit-Ask champion, Nick Hendrick, dusting them. And newshound David Wright, missing them. Then straighting them. The last pair. Simple things. So when lockdown is lifted, please get stuck in. We will bring you the results as soon as we have them, and hopefully before Christmas, Field Sports Nation members will have the chance to win this Yildiz.
Good cartridge, nice handling gun, everything's good.
Thank you to everyone that's helping with this, and obviously post-lockdown we will start putting some shells down the barrels and start giving you some results. Next up, it's Johnny from R&K Stockcraft, and he's putting pellets into putty. What are we doing, Johnny?
We're going to shoot some ballistic wax, some terracotta wax, and we're going to compare these two pellets. So we've got a standard 16 grain JSB Exact, and then we're going to have a JSB Hades Diablo, which has got this cutout on the head that you can see here. So different pellets for different applications. It's going to be interesting to see. I haven't tested these before, see how this expands. They've had some good reviews, and they've had some, you know, there's been quite a lot of people asking about them and coming and purchasing them, but I've failed to get out and actually shoot them myself. So it'll be interesting to see what this produces. So we'll just shoot this up against the standard, and hopefully there'll be a difference that we can observe in the wax. They may be very similar, but we'll give it a go, shall we?
Yes.
Right. First one is the JSB standard round nose. Buff. Right. So both pellets are in there. You can actually see in the wax the imprint of the rifling that's engraved on the pellet as the pellet's gone through and spun into the hole, which is pretty amazing. But
so just remind me, so the one on the left is what?
This is the Hades.
Oh, it was, okay.
No, it wasn't. Tell a lie. I was just checking you were paying attention. That was the Hades. That was the JSB Exact, the standard, the first one. So really looking at them,
JSB standard is actually a wider.
Yeah, it does look like it at that distance. Be interesting to see how much further they are. I think that Hades might have penetrated further. It's difficult to say.
Got a knife?
Yeah, I have actually. So this is the Hades pellet, which we've just cheese wired through. There it be, look. There we go. So it's turned sideways. Just fish that out. There it is. I think this wax is quite hard at the moment, but it hasn't really expanded the pellet. But it's a fair old channel in there, isn't it? And it hasn't come through, so it's expanded out fairly well in there. Should we have a look at the other one? Oh. Well, I can tell you it's gone in a lot further. Isn't it? A lot further. So obviously the cutouts in the head are slowing that right down, aren't they? So quite a big difference. So that's stopping in the target a lot quicker with a Hades head on it. So but interestingly enough, the actual channel that you'd expect that to be wider. And it is a bit actually, isn't it here? At the back end, it's definitely wider, yeah. So basically your energy retention, it's dispersing the energy more in a shorter distance. So I guess when you're sort of shooting rabbits, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. How these will be accuracy-wise further down range would be interesting to find out. But yeah, interesting.
Okay, Johnny, so you've got some other examples of some terracotta stuff.
Yeah, these were actually shot by a friend of mine, but this is basically cast moulds of the inlet channels. You did a film with Phil Price a number of years ago. Was it years ago now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, years ago. Barracuda Hunter Extreme we've done with these and replicating what Phil had done, and it's really interesting results. So this is actually the same pellet in 2.2 and 1.77, and immediately looking at those, if I put my hand over there, you'd think that this is going to be the 2.2. Well, it's not. That's actually the 1.77. So the 2.2 going slower, the energy transfer into the target, it's penetrated a bit further, but it just hasn't seemed to have opened up the channel like the 1.77 has, and it's remarkable when you look at that. You wouldn't think that would be the case. You'd think it'd probably be the other way around. Shorter, wider channel with the 2.2, but in this instance, with this particular type pellet, which is like a flathead with a cross in it, this is the end result. So it's always interesting to get a bit nerdy and do these things, because yeah, the outcomes are sometimes not what you're expecting. So there you go.
Thank you, Johnny, and if you want any advice about the right pellet for the job, please drop Johnny a line at R&K Stockcraft. Now, night vision is becoming more affordable, but what can you get for under £1,000?
So if you're looking for night vision under £1,000, we do have a few options for you. It's all digital night vision. These are obviously rifle scopes from Yukon, which is a sister company to Pulsar. It starts the range at the Yukon Photon RT. This scope really is best for rimfire rifles and air guns alike. Its detection range is about 250 to 300 meters. Moving on to the Yukon Sightline, these scopes are very popular, brilliant for all types of rifles, ridiculously clear. These are up to about 500 meter detection range. It's actually two of the same units, they're just two different models. You'll see there, that's the N450, the smaller unit there, and that's the N470. The detection range difference is 500 meters, 550, it's just 50 meters bigger detection range on the bigger unit, and you have a higher magnification on it. Some people like that for certain types of shooting or identification where you can obviously zoom in more. Some people prefer the lower magnification because then you get a wider field of view, which is good if you're scanning using the rifle scope. These products are all under £1,000. You start at just under £500 for the Yukon Photon, and for the sight lines, the two sizes, the smaller is 759 and the slightly larger is 819. So really good, clear, solid products to get you into night vision. There is also, as of late, even a thermal spotter. These are £869. So obviously coming into that bracket as well. Fantastic units. They are the Pulsar Axion Key XM22. Single hand use, really neat little optics, as you can see in my hand there with a strap. And the buttons on the top just all falls really nicely. It's like holding a phone, honestly, to be frank with you. And these are obviously monoculars, and this works off of thermal night vision, which is, you can't hide from this stuff. As opposed to using infrared light, the thermal stuff uses heat sources. It picks up all heat, so these are really brilliant for scanning. And of course, if none of this is for you, just use one of these. These have become slightly obsolete, but this is an alternative way to do it.
Thank you, Robbie. Now, PRS, precision rifle shooting, is a growth sport, and Leica has joined the party.
So this is the Leica PRS, the 5 to 30 by 56 PRS, precision rifle scope. What are they? This is my old Schmidt-Mender PM2. It's heavy, it's bulletproof, you can knock a nail in it. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can knock a nail in with it. They're robust, they make lovely clicking noise, look. Oh, I love those. You grab hold of them because we are going to be using them a lot in the field. So they're functional, they're robust, they're rugged. Weight is not a problem with these things, so that's what we are doing. They're not properly hunting scopes, even though I'll probably demonstrate to you they are hunting scopes, but they're for the long range multi-positional shooter.
Well, we don't quite.
100 MOA elevation, 38 mil radians. It's a lot of elevation. So we got our elevation turret, we got the windage, once again, real nice clicky things. But what was quite unique with this one is you can adjust zero without any tools. So we just wind, you see a little tab on the top here? You flip it up and we wind it. If you want to change the zero stop on it, so the zero stop is actually, stops you going back below zero, so you can wind it right back to zero and crack on again. So if you want to adjust that, you need a small tool. But where's the tool? Aha! They've actually put it in the windage turret. So we wind our cap off there, and we've got a dear little Allen key here, and that basically will adjust the zero stop. It's quite natty actually, but it's quite nice. So you've got 3 adjustable screws here, and that locks the zero stop, and that pops back in there, we add our caps back, and I really like these because you can grab hold of these kind of flip up levers. The tube itself is a 34mm tube. A lot of precision rifle scopes now are at least 34 upwards. So that gives you a lot of adjustment for long range shooting. 3 reticles available. We've got the 4A here, which is more of a hunting reticle, and they have 2 other ballistic reticle and a PRB reticle, and they've got lots of subtensions, hashes, marks, so therefore you can hold over for windage or elevation, so they're very, very highly tactical. The PRS scope comes in a first focal plane. The reticle itself is in the first focal plane. Most European scopes have a second focal plane for their reticle, which means if you wind the power in and out, the reticle itself does not get any thicker. Perfect for hunting. The first focal plane is that as I wind the magnification up, the reticle gets thicker. And the reason why we have that is because most of the tactical scopes will have these subtensions, these hash marks, and I can actually wind it into 30 power and the distances on those hashes remain the same. I can judge it all the time, all the way out to 30 power. If you do that for the second focal plane, you've got to know actually on a certain zoom setting that actually stays the same. So they're purely tactical. First focal plane allows you to use and judge those holdovers. Very important for tactical shooting. After some research, I found that in America, the Outdoor Life magazine and program, they voted the PRS the best precision rifle scope in 2020. They just thought the whole thing was really, really well put together and very, very functional. It's got a nice long sunshade on it, which screws on. And also, it's got a little knob here. Once again, if you're doing competition work, you want to have a quick change of zoom. So this knob here allows you to grab hold of that, and it locks it in if you tighten it up. So that's the PRS side of things. So it crosses over quite nicely. So we're going to be shooting anything out from 150 meters out to 480 meters today. When I wind that scope back, does it go back to where it was? Is it graduated properly? Does it actually work properly? So I'm going to be winding it, taking it through its paces to make sure this scope actually is a precision rifle scope. I've got my range down at 500 yards. Up 2 clicks. That's about 1.5 mil. Okay, so in my head, I'm an inches man, but I've got about 30 odd inches of drop over 500 yards. And then I've got a dial back, and I'll probably maybe have a go at 70 my yards. Pig down there at 70 odd yards. That's a dead ball. I'll swing around, and we've got the 260, the 360 over there, and I may have a go at the fox down here. So what does this tell me? It's a bit more than a PRS. It's a hunter, it's a varminter, it's a foxing scope, and obviously it's a PRS scope. So I'll be intrigued to know what the market thinks of it, but this is the first one in the country, and all I can say is, yep, it works.
Thank you, Tim. Now, some gun shops are lucky enough to have a gunsmith. At Simpson Brothers, his name is Matt, and he has some advice for you.
Right, shotgun cartridge and shotgun chamber lengths. Commonly we get people come in the shop asking for certain cartridges for the guns, but it'll be the wrong length. So here, let's have a look down here. We've got a 65mm cartridge there, or 67, sorry. And there we have a 3-inch, a 76mm cartridge. As you can see, significantly longer. This gun here, as you look down, is 2.5-inch. And this one here is 3-inch chamber. There. So that gun is proved as being safe with a 65 or 2.5-inch length cartridge, full length cartridge. This gun, the Beretta, is proved as being safe with a 3-inch cartridge. What commonly happens is people will put a 70mm into a 65mm chambered gun. This is very unsafe. This gun is not proved as being safe with that length cartridge. If I take this CIP measurement tool and insert it into said Cogswell and Harrison, as you can see, even that, if you ignore the extractor, it's not catching on those, stops at just shy of 65mm. Whereas if I was to take that into the Beretta, which is proved as being safe with 3-inch cartridges, 76.2, which is 3 inches. So you can see why I can get also, sorry, just to mention, I can get this 3-inch cartridge into this 2.5-inch chamber, and it would go in and fire. There are a lot of pressures there that shouldn't be forced where they were, and it's not proved as being safe with that cartridge. Not only is it a massive safety issue, also you'll get commonly on a less length difference coming in with massive ejector problems. They're not ejecting. There's just not the space in the forcing cone or the chamber because it hasn't been allowed for that length cartridge, and that is a very common problem.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for watching. And if you do live in the Orston area, please come down post-lockdown and help us with this community project of seeing what steel really does to shotgun barrels.